All right, so I think everything is set now. We're going live. So welcome to the last session of our workshop, Digital Tools for the Epigraphist. Today, we will have three presentations of three digital epigraphy projects. One will be by our colleague Tzvetan Vasilev, and the other two, or Mitko, you are presenting with Tzvetan. Is that correct?
I'm presenting together with Tzvetan, and I'm also gonna present if Nikolay is not able to show up because we have some things to do this afternoon. I'm also gonna be presenting for Telamon and Tituli, but you know mostly what these projects are all about. We've used their services this week. I'm only gonna present some part of the content side of those, and
great. And I will present our project Digital Epigraphy in Serbia, also known as Roman Inscriptions in Serbia, because the title has changed as much as the project funding was changing, which is not a very stable situation. And afterwards, we'll have a discussion. And also a very sort of in relaxed format, if someone wants to do some further visualizations and just to gather our impressions about all that has been going on whole week. So it will be, feel free to participate as much as you like and as much as you can. And also I will later check the questions that we have received. Perhaps we can.
Well, just let me say that yeah, I want to say that this morning we did some final, at least for now, debugging of the platforms that we've been using this week, and the authority lists and all the authority lists in all the languages should work on all three now. And we had some bugs in the visualization of some individual inscriptions that you have put on the platform, and we have to have some remarks about the encoding, which we'll tell you in a while. And then it's up to you if you have some other things you're trying to visualize, or you have some additional questions. And I think that's it. We could wrap it up. But yeah.
Okay, so shall we proceed with presentations? So Mitko, in which order would you like to?
I don't know.
Should we go with the Tituli first, or?
No, we have one common presentation for Telamon and Tituli, because they're basically sister projects. Shall I begin?
Sure. If I'm because I'm not seeing Tzvetan yet, and I would like to check, send him an email to see if everything is all right with Zoom. So this is why I would like to switch the order just to check with him if everything is okay in the meantime.
Okay. So yes, I wrote. I also dropped him a note and with the link to the session. But yes, if you wish, also you can. So it's up to me to share my screen now, as far as I see. So. In this presentation, I hope everybody's seeing my screen. What about now?
Yeah, yes, we see your screen.
Okay, this is a presentation on behalf of myself and also Dr. Nikolay Sharankov, who is the epigraphist researcher in our project, the main epigraphist researcher in our project. And this is a presentation of the whole project, but since you already saw most of the technicalities around around not our project but our projects, I have to say, because we're dealing with two collections, but they're very similar in their outputs. And I'm gonna concentrate here for a while. I'm not gonna be very long, to the actually the contents of what we are trying to encode and visualize here. So we're starting with the ancient Greek epigraphic heritage in Bulgaria, which counts more than 5,000 inscriptions. And counting, because you know, every year, every archaeological season, there are new inscriptions discovered, and these new inscriptions, some of them are unpublished, some of them are published in new publications. So this number is not definite. As to the main printed corpora, there's two of them, the one of which you heard pretty frequently mentioned this week. This is Georgi Mikhailov's opus magnum, which is Inscriptiones Graecae in Bulgaria Repertae, which is in 5 volumes. The 5th volume is with addenda and corrigenda to the first 4, but these 4 volumes, well, including the 5th one, spread from 1956, the first edition of the first volume, until 1995. So you can see it's quite a large span, and some of the volumes are already quite dated, and they are in need of update and revision in the lights of new findings, new monuments, new excavations, or new interpretations of archaeological content that is discovered. There's also the one small, relatively small corpus by Vasilev Illiev, published in, well, this one, the first one was in Greek, written by Mihailov. The meta information is in Greek. The other one is Spätgriechische und Spätlateinische Inschriften aus Bulgarien, published in Berlin, published abroad in 1964, and this deals predominantly with late antique inscription and early Christian inscription, spanning from the late 3rd century, 4th century, the beginning of the 4th century AD, until 6th century AD, and we can say that these are the two main corpora which exhaust the ancient Greek epigraphic heritage in Bulgaria. There's also other kinds of epigraphic heritage that we have. We have Byzantine and post-Byzantine Greek epigraphic heritage, as you shall see in a while. We also have, of course, Bulgarian and Old Church Slavonic inscriptions, the Old Church Slavonic ones being in Cyrillic and Glagolitic alphabets. So you can say that there are two branches of this old epigraphic heritage. There's also, of course, the Ottoman epigraphic heritage. So there's a very diverse picture, but of this, the ancient epigraphic heritage forms a significant part, and Greek inscriptions are, as you can see, you see also a snapshot of Mikhailov's volume, although you have seen some of this already, to see how lemma of an inscription in Mikhailov looks like. together with the text, the metadata, the bibliography, etc., etc. You see here also the inventory number and the institution, l'ultimo Museo Filipopolitano Conservator. This would be the Archaeological Museum in Plovdiv. And there are, of course, other publications which did not enter these two large corpora, scattered here and there in scholarly journals and periodicals, and many of them, not all of them, but many of them currently hard to reach. Some of them published in Bulgarian, some of them published in journals which are not very accessible to international audience, and so on and so forth. And of course, there are even publications which have been hitherto, the inscriptions which have been hitherto published. There were some attempts at revision of Mikhailov's corpus. Some of them published in special studies and monographs, and some of them still unpublished. You can say that a lot of the revisions in our inscriptions that we include in Telamon are in their revised form after being seen again ex autopsia, and after some additions and corrections and additional commentaries have been added to them, are born digital. But there is at least one study, namely Nikolay Sharankov's notes on the Greek inscriptions from Bulgaria, published in 2015, which contains some preliminary notes as to the revision of the whole corpus. Not all of the inscriptions that were revised took place there, but it is still a publication on which you can rely while trying to encode and updated versions of your inscriptions, and it's published in a series known as Studia Classica Serdicensia, volume 5. But if you search for the title, probably you will come across on it in electronic form somewhere on the internet, say in Academia Edu, where almost all of Dr. Sharankov's articles and studies and monographs are published. So here you can see, yes, one snapshot of the revised text of one Greek epitaph from Odessus, and some of these revisions have also found their place in an epigraphic. So an epigraphic is also a good source for revised inscriptions, which originally took their place in Mikhailov's corpus. As you can see here, revised text of one of the publications in the 4th volume of Mikhailov's corpus, which was then corrected in the 5th volume, and nouvelle restitution, new restoration of some of the lacunae, was proposed by Sharankov in an epigraphic. And usually when we deal with such inscriptions for our digital corpus, we include all of those bibliographical references. But as I told you, sometimes we have revised them, especially for the purposes of their electronic publications. For most of these inscriptions, notwithstanding the previous printed publications, their current state, as they are in our Telamon collection, is born digital. It is not based on previous paper publications, and probably a lot more inscriptions like that are to come in our corpus. You know very well the details of the digital edition. We have this customized EpiDoc template which is suitable for our monuments, and you have been using this throughout this week. And also you tried yesterday, and you hopefully are trying now, and we will discuss this, our platform for the visualization and indexing of the XML files and the list. The original platform with all of its functionalities is found on our website. What you have seen is I don't know how many of you were able to run the portable version. What you see is a portable version and a deployment, a mirror deployment on several other sites on our server where the original Telamon lives. So you have probably quite a good idea how it all works, or how probably it should work. The functionalities are all up and running now, and they certainly are up and running on the website that is currently in public use. So I will not go deeper into this. Here you have snapshots of the platform that now you know all too well. Yes, I'm gonna repeat once again that our way of front-end processing of the XML database is that they're stored in an SQL database where the XML files lives, and PHP command lines in the PHP programming language call them out and visualize them on the site, and also put them into different types of indexes, searches, and filters. As to the content, we're using data from Egeburg, which is revised and updated. Whenever we have the possibility, whenever there's at least the text of the inscription somewhere in the large databases that you have as references in your documentation, about which Dragana told in the beginning of this training week. For example, if there's an instance of a particular inscription in Epigraphische Datenbank Heidelberg or somewhere else, in Klaus Labi, in EPIGRAPHIST inscriptions, etc., we're linking data to other databases whenever this is applicable. And something that I think, besides the technical part, which is really added value to our project, is that a large part of this content was not available in Bulgarian, at least in Bulgarian and English up to these days. It was available in Mihailov's corpus in Latin, or only in Bulgarian, but now it sees the light of the day for the first time in this format, which is accessible to both, widely accessible, as widely as possible to both Bulgarian and international audiences. We have commentaries which are more detailed than in the previous, in most cases, in the previous editions of the monument. And in some respects, we're able to provide some rather significant revisions of the content of the inscriptions, such as identifying new local persons who are important for the personal history, or correcting their data, their onomastics, and maybe their dates of florite and other things like that. Here you see an instance where a provincial governor known from the third volume of Mikhailov, which was published in the 1960s, now in the revised form of the respective inscription, it's 1510, Igebook 1510. This proves the name of this person proves to be something rather else, as resulting from the autopsy that Dr. Sharankov was able to do of this monument. For this purpose, of course, we need collaboration with museums. because we cannot do without the help of the museums and the collaboration with the museums who store and in many cases expose this material to the public. The example was set by the original historical museum of Vratsa, who provided us with, if you saw this inscription the other day, who were the first to provide all of their collection of Greek monuments that they had in their repository and in their lapidarium in order to be included in Telamon, be it published in some articles before that or as yet unpublished. So we're using this material with the official permission of the archaeological section of the museum. Vratsa is in the northwestern part of Bulgaria, where, to the north of the so-called Jireček line, which many of you are familiar with. So you can guess that not a great many Greek inscriptions are found there. There's only 12, I think, or something like that, but or maybe less, I cannot remember right now, but all of those were provided and included in our collection. We now have also collaborations with other archaeological museums and with the National Archaeological Institute with museum to the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences, which provide additional information for some of the inscriptions, and they also serve as a principle to all the other regional and archaeological museums in Bulgaria. So if not with anything else, the collaboration with museums is much helpful in order to get us the opportunity to have at least high quality images and updated inventory numbers in the inventory books of the museum, as well as some other metadata that need to be corrected if they need to be inspected or measured again, etc., etc. And this collaboration also proves quite significant concerning the inscriptions which are until now unpublished, or in other inscriptions which are considered lost, but in some cases, if you look at the repository, in the repository of the museums, you may find that these monuments are not lost, but they're simply not described, and Mikhailov and other editors didn't bother to look more carefully to find them, which is quite often the case with the Latin inscriptions in Bulgaria. The Latin inscriptions in Bulgaria are even more than the Greek ones, although not in a more limited territorial range. There are over 5,500 dating from the 1st to 6th century AD. And until now, there has been no full corpus published by a Bulgarian scholar or a scholarly collective of any of them. You have a preliminary corpus published by the late Boris Gerov. It was in 1989, and it was published posthumously to Gerov, who is our prominent Latin epigrapher. He devised a territorial plan much resembling the plan of Georgi Mikhailov. He divided the territory of today's Bulgaria into 4 major parts, which correspond to the 4 volumes of EG book, and something like that was planned by Gerov, concentrating on the northern part of Bulgaria for obvious reasons that I told you before a while, and using some of the big tributaries to the Danube River as boundary markers of the separate areas when he wanted to prepare separate volumes. but he lived only to prepare a preliminary selection for one volume. And in this Inscriptiones Latinae in Bulgaria Repertae, you have only the Inscriptiones inter Oiscum et Iatrum Repertae, which are today's river of Iskar and Yantra. So this is only a part of the territory which was supposed to be covered by Geros Corpus, and apart from that, it was published posthumously to Gerov, and without his active participation in the devising of the final output. So there's probably much more to be desired for the Latin inscriptions, therefore the Greek inscriptions, for which, even though not up to date, we still have not one but two major corpora, and they are much more studied. Whereas hundreds of inscriptions, hundreds of Latin inscriptions went unpublished or were published by some editors, often even not Bulgarian editors, circa the beginning of the turn of the 20th century, and then were never examined again. There is a very important edition which contains Latin, but also some Greek inscriptions. But for the Latin ones, this is especially relevant because probably this is the only publication, official publication existing so far. This is the Austro-Hungarian scholar Ernst Kalinka publication of 1906 as a part of the Schriften der Balkankommission of the Austrian Academy of Sciences, the Antike Denkmäler in Bulgarian, which saw the first publication of many monuments that then became part of other corpora. And for many Latin inscriptions, Kalinka is the first and the only publications. And there are some later publications, some of them in the recent decades coming in large numbers, but a lot of them are not really reliable. Some of the Latin inscriptions are also found their place in the Zil series and predominantly in volume 3. But as you can see, this is Mommsen and Domashevsky's edition from 1902, and from there on, they also went untouched and unmentioned further. Here, as Dr. Sharankov's scouting of the archaeological repositories proved, there are some instances of inscriptions which were considered lost, which were forgotten, which were never searched for, including some inscriptions which could be really interesting for the history of the region. For example, one inscription of Constantine II and Constance, which was published by Vasilev in the 1960s and was since considered lost, but we were able to locate it, and it probably awaits our further revision and probably new publication, which in any case will be in the framework of Telamon project, because as I hope that we all realize, large printed corpora are nothing that will happen, at least not in our countries and in our region, anywhere in the near future, if ever. I think that Zil and Inscriptiones Graecae in Germany are probably the only series that could currently sustain their printed publication. This is why digital epigraphy is the future, and this is why it is very important to struggle to get these electronic publications recognized as really official, so to say, publications of the respective inscriptions that are to be relied upon. There is, another instance of a late antique monument, this time by Gratian, Valentinian II, Theodosius, and Arcadius, which was also found in the village of today's Kovacevica, which is also may prove pivotal for regional history because it is something from a crucial period. Some examples of inscriptions which are in need of revision. Now, if Dr. Sharankov is here, he can probably intervene to say something. I'm not forcing him to do so, but
yes, I could. If you want. This is a very interesting case, but it is not the only one. Inscriptions which were published in the 19th century, and then, although they are, as in this case, in the open, so anyone can go and see them, no one in the last 120 years did it. And here is one inscription which was published in CIL 2 times with 2 different readings and 2 different datings. And it was published only in its first 4 lines, but there are 4 more lines. And only a few years ago, we went to this church in a small village and we were able to read the text. It is readable, but no one did it. And there are hundreds of such inscriptions. And this is one of the main purposes of our projects to revise all the readings, even of inscriptions which were well known and which have several publications. We always want to consult the stone itself, or if it is lost, all the available evidence, copies, photographs, etc.
Do you have something to add about what I just said? Because I really didn't see if you were able to come here. No, we can if you wish.
No, I have nothing to add to your remarks.
Yeah, here this is a very interesting example, but yeah, really, this is something which was published in Corpus Inscriptionum Latinarum, and we have quite.
Yes, with the help of RTI imaging
Yes.
and repeated revisions, we were able to restore the complete text because in the previous edition, only the beginning and the end were read, and in the middle part, it was said there are 6 or 8 or 10 missing lines. And actually, even on this photograph, you see that some of these lines are well readable, others are not, but the text could be restored.
Yes,
And
you see that it
we
makes
also
great
have
difference.
all photographs of this inscription when it was in much better condition, so they also helped us to restore this text.
Yes, yes. Sometimes old editions also help. I now think of some inscriptions from our Telamon collection when we used both Mihailov's edition, which was supposed to be the best up until then, and some older publications, for example, by Kalinka, and it so proves that after revision ex autopsia and also with some technical aids such as RTI, as in this case, it proves that actually the older reading was to be preferred. Probably because when they saw the monument, it was in better conditions or for other reasons. So yeah, this is what we're gonna tell you. If you wish, this is our emails, and these are the websites of both projects. Yes, have in mind that yeah, the Telamon one is already absolutely official and it can be used. Tituli is still in its demo version. It's not supposed to be publicly available, but I believe that everything there is all right. And I probably should have stressed more that when speaking about the role of the museums, the Telamon project is led by our team at the University of Sofia, and we are also contributing with expertise and know-how and technical aid with another distribution of our Ajax engine to the Tituli project, but the Tituli project is actually led by the National Archaeological Institute with museums. They are so to say, the scientific board of this project, and they are the ones who run it, and we're also we're part of the team, and we're providing the technical expertise and the epigraphic, the scholarly expertise on which the project can step that they can use as a basis. But I think that in this case, especially when you have inscriptions which are scattered in different institutions, it is really helpful to have such an initiative led by the National Archaeological Institute with the museum. So here I stop the sharing of my screen, and you can, yes, we're open for any questions and comments. Both me and Dr. Sharankov managed to get here, and well, if, I don't know if not.
Thank you so much. Thanks both to Professor Illiev and Professor Sharankov. It was really, even though the whole week was sort of in sign of these projects, and we learned a lot about it through practical experience with their work and their software, it's really it's good to hear, and it's those two projects are very goal-oriented, and the results are really, really great. And it's I've known about your work for a long time, and I'm really, when I see all this, I'm really, really glad, and I see the major contribution that you're giving to the field, and it's really just, I have to say one word: congratulations, and keep going.
Well, yeah. Thank you. Well, we have a lot of things ahead of us, but thank you very much. We will keep going, because you see, it could be a life's work, really, with these.
Yes.
Summa summarum, 10,000 inscriptions, 10,000 plus inscriptions, and I hope there will be a lot of people that will contribute also to this project. Collaborators, maybe more young people and young scholars will get excited about digital epigraphy, and yeah.
Great. And now this brings us to our next topic, which is how influence really flows in certain communities. So today we have with us here also a colleague from Sofia, Tzvetan Vasilev, who will present together with Professor Illiev project that is something a little bit different, and I think that it will spark real interest here. So I will give word to Tzvetan.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity to be able to speak about a joint project again with Professor Illiev. Now I will share my screen in a while to show you the world of the post-Byzantine inscriptions. Of course, I'm not sure how much you are acquainted with this topic. So I will just for brief moments, I will share with you my experience with post-Byzantine inscriptions, with identifications and classifications of the inscriptions that I deal with in my work, and I will talk briefly about a few projects with joint projects with Bulgarian Academy of Sciences, and then briefly I will talk about ORASIS project, which is the focus of our joint presentation with Professor Illiev today, and I will talk mainly about inscriptions, post-Byzantine inscriptions, which means mural church inscriptions in Bulgaria, but not only in Bulgaria, in all the Balkan area. And then Professor Illiev, Mitko, will continue. So now I'm gonna share my first presentation. I hope you see the topic: Bulgaria's post-Byzantine church murals and inscriptions. Just to make sure that I change the slides. Yeah, okay. So if we are talking about post-Byzantine epigraphy, maybe we have to say something about what is Byzantine epigraphy. Byzantine epigraphy, of course, is a much broader theme and topic in sense that in the inscriptions, Byzantine inscriptions were inscribed upon variety of materials, upon stone, graffiti, painted and mosaic inscriptions, upon coin seals, weights, bricks, minor art objects, etc. The inscriptions in Byzantine Empire, of course, are continuation of the ancient tradition, Greek and Roman tradition. But the topic that I'm interested in are the sacred inscriptions. So of course, you know, in Byzantium, we have sacred inscriptions, we have funerary epigraphy, we have commemorative epigraphy, epigrammatical poetry. When we talk about post-Byzantine inscriptions, I think we can safely say that it's a continuation of one branch of the Byzantine epigraphy, and more precisely Byzantine church epigraphy. So in post-Byzantine times, in post-Byzantine period, which means after the 15th century, from the 15th to about 19th century, or even the early 20th century, we have a tradition that is a continuation. It is using the same methods, same texts maybe, and in this area, in the Balkan Peninsula, we can say that it's a continuation of Byzantium itself in the Ottoman period. So what are the main characteristics of this field, post-Byzantine epigraphy and post-Byzantine inscriptions? We can safely also say that there are few cultural and artistic centers active in this period, such as Athos, Crete, and etc. Castoria, for instance. There is a close connection between the image and word. This is a topic that is widely discussed in the scientific literature, the connection between the picture itself, the icon, the mural, and the inscription. So we cannot just simply divide the image and the inscription. We have to deal with both of these objects. They're part of one and the same thing. And in my work, I often I have contact with art historians who help me in my work, and of course I help them too. So inscriptions are mainly in the sacred environment of the monastery, the temple. This is very important because this is giving the context of the inscriptions. Because one of the main problems when we deal with such post-Byzantine inscriptions, the main problem is identification. This is something that maybe we don't have it in such degree in the classical inscriptions, but in the post-Byzantine ones, we have to identify the text. Of course, you expect maybe that when you enter the church, you see text from the Gospel, from the Bible, or some sacred text that you're very well acquainted with. But there are many other texts, and the most interesting text, I think, the inscriptions, I think, are those which are written in the scrolls of the saints. And this is my main focus in my scientific work, the texts from the scrolls of monks and saints. And when I try to identify such texts, of course, there are many that are already identified, and you can see copies of one and the same text in different churches and environments. But of course, there are instances when you have to really look carefully. And the digital world that we live in nowadays, the internet, of course, helps us a lot to identify such texts. Of course, we don't only have such inscriptions, scroll inscriptions. We also have historical inscriptions, donors inscriptions, we can say also. And the background of this slide that you see here is one example of such historical inscription. And finally, as you see here on this slide, I have written that the audience of these inscriptions are Christians, and this is one of the main differences between post-Byzantine epigraphy and Byzantine epigraphy. So this is just briefly one introduction to the post-Byzantine inscriptions. Here you see an instance of such text. This is inscription written by an Albanian painter, and it is a difficult text to identify, but actually it is not kept in its original place where in the church itself. This is inscription from the middle of 16th century, and it is kept in the museum in Castoria. And the name of this painter is Onufrius. So he decorated churches in Albania and Northern Macedonia. And here the translation of this text is: when you hold out your arms to God, remember Onufrius, painter, priest, and chief priest of Neocastro. So this is actually a signature of a painter. Yes, this is the reading itself, but this is a PowerPoint presentation, so I hope you see well the fonts that we use also in our project ORASIS. This is a specific font which is called Athena Ruby, and it is developed by Dumbarton Oaks. Okay, I move to one other example. This is an inscription in a scroll of Theodosius the Kinobiarch. This is a saint from the 5th or 6th century, born in Cappadocia, and this is a difficult text for identification. It is attested in so-called painter's manual. So this is one other example of how we have to identify inscriptions, post-Byzantine inscriptions. We have not only to look into Byzantine literature, into patristic literature, into sacred text, but we have one other option to look in the so-called painter manuals. What is a painter manual? It is called also Herminia. This is a private, let's say, text written by the painter himself, and it is a text that helps him to actually to go in the church and write the inscription themselves in the church. So these are notes that we have some very famous painter manuals that are edited and published, and it is a very good point to start when identifying such inscriptions. Okay, so this is example of such text that is identified only in a painter's manual, but not the real source actually is not found until now. So the vain tumult of worldly thoughts blunted the discernment of the soul, thus showing that the mind is blind and full with darkness. This is a inscription, a text from the patristic literature or from the monk literature, let's say, spiritual texts for helping the monks to keep their focus and concentration on the spiritual life. So a few words about the painters. From the Byzantine period, we have only about 100 names of painters. And from the period from 15th to 18th century, we have more than 2,000 names of Greek painters. So you see that in the Byzantine times, this is a time of anonymity. Anonymous painters, they don't like to show themselves. But later, we see that they begin to inscribe their names. But in Bulgaria, there are less than 20 names of painters from the period from 15th to 17th century. And now it is very interesting to try to find different churches written by one and the same painter or one and the same team of painters. So I will just in a few minutes, I will show you such a project we were trying with colleagues from the Institute for Art Studies in Bulgarian Academy of Sciences. We were trying to trace the road of such painters in the Balkan area. So also other hindrances for such scientific work. There are no written sources. How exactly the painters on the Balkans organized their work and handed down their knowledge. So trying to trace connection between painters is only possible through additional means. That means the style of the paintings themselves, and also by epigraphic data. And I have to say, and I'm sure you know about this, that during the Ottoman period, there were intense inter-ethnic contacts. The mobility of the painters is one of the main characteristic feature of the people involved in this work. And we have also linguistic interaction. This means that we can come and enter church, to come into churches that are inscribed in two languages, for instance, Bulgarian and Greek language, or Serbian and Greek language. Of course, the Greek language is the main one, but here it is also difficult to say. In different regions on the Balkans, there are examples of different degrees of influence between Greek and Slavic languages. Okay, I continue. What are the methods of research? So this was a brief introduction to the field of post-Byzantine epigraphy. What are the methods of research of such inscriptions? Of course, when we began to work also with Mitko for ORASIS project, we had to analyze the existing classifications of inscriptions, because this is the starting point. Here you can see one classification by content. For instance, donors inscriptions. These are the historical inscriptions. They're very important because they show us the main information about when the church was built, or when the painters finished their work, and who are the painters. Also, we have explanatory inscriptions, which means that these are inscriptions written next to the scene, and they're telling us what is the scene exactly. And then we have invocatory inscriptions. All the other inscriptions, we can say that they're invocatory inscriptions because they're prayers, mainly prayers, exclamations from the Old Testament, the New Testament. The liturgical inscriptions are also exclamations, prayers. Poetical inscriptions, they also serve this purpose, to build a connection between the viewer and divinity. We have also some mixed type of inscriptions, for instance, compilatory inscriptions. They're very interesting but difficult to identify. We have apotropaic inscriptions, which means inscriptions designed to propel evil forces. We have also imitations of texts and other. Of course, we have illegible inscriptions. So this is one example of a classification that we use in our project, ORASIS project. Maybe because I already mentioned the name of this project, what does it mean, ORASIS? ORASIS, from, of course, Old Greek, it is a vision. This means vision. So vision of the saint, usually the Old Testament books of the prophets, they were visions, and maybe this is one way to say which are the most important inscriptions for our project, these scroll inscriptions. We have also inscription types by place. We use also this classification in our project. For instance, inscriptions written in the narthex or the naos or the eps. And this is the first level, or the most basic level of the place of description in the church. So we have to really, when we have a digital edition of corpus of inscriptions, we have to be able to find ourselves. Where is this inscription exactly? And there is only one way to do it, by such elaborate classifications like this one. And the second level is east wall, west wall, south wall, north wall, or the vault, or the zenith of the church, south flank, north flank. And also the third level, maybe you're not familiar with this. The first level and the second level are easy to get acquainted with no experience beforehand. But on the third level, we have first register, which means this is the first row, and then we have second row and third row of scenes or or figures of saints or prophets, and we can have third, fourth, etc., etc. So this is another classification. And now briefly about the edition of such inscriptions. This is the description scheme that we use in the ORASIS project. Of course, we have the place of the inscription, we have index of the inscription, and because we can safely say we are pioneers in this field, we don't have to really adapt to existing editions. We're and this is both bad and good. And so we hope that we are trying to we are giving directions to such projects that will continue to exist with the same description schemes like ours, because we hopefully we are starting with 200 inscriptions in Bulgaria, but we know about colleagues in Cyprus, and we hope in also maybe in Serbia or other countries that we will begin to collaborate using the same classifications and the same description schemes. So we have the location description in the scene. Previous publications, they're mainly publications by art historians. And of course, we have the inscription itself, diplomatic text, interpretive text. We have to have a source, a photo, or exautopsia is the best and option. And we proudly put this notion about an inscription when we have this opportunity. Of course, translation and commentary, which includes linguistic features, phonetic, morphological, syntactic, and other. So this covers my first presentation, and now I will show you another presentation. And just in 5 minutes, I will stop and Dimitar will continue. So this is the ORASIS project, a digital collection of Bulgaria's post-Byzantine church murals. I already told you about the name of our project. I already told you about the teams of Balkan painters. This is a joint project that I was involved in with in about 3 or 4 years ago with colleagues from the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences, and the purpose of this project was to trace these connections between artistic centers in Bulgaria, Greece, Macedonia, Serbia, Albania. And this project was very useful, and I hope that we will use all the experience together with my colleagues, and in course of time we will incorporate this experience in the ORASIS project. So here on the right you can see the website of this project. I recommend, if any one of you is interested in post-Byzantine inscriptions, there is an English version of the website. The web address is zography.info, and you can read many interesting articles. Okay, these are my colleagues from the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences, and this is showing you the field work. I think that this is very good when you start a digital edition and a corpus of inscriptions, to have such experience in all the Balkan countries. So, for instance, here on the low left, we are in Macedonia, I think, and the first picture on the left, on the first row, the mountains that you see, this is Albania, and yeah, on the right, you see the project leader, Professor Biserka Penkova. Yeah, this is just brief in order for you to get an idea briefly about a field work in this post-Byzantine world. And these are examples of how one can trace connection between different churches using a philological approach. For instance, you see here examples from 4 different churches and monasteries. Kurilovo monastery is in Bulgaria, Doborsko is also in Bulgaria, Slimnica monastery is in Macedonia, and Seslovci is near Sofia. And you can see here the letter Ch, which is one and the same actually, and this helps us to identify connections. And this is very useful, the orthography of the inscriptions. And in the digital editions of corpora, when we have good photos of the inscriptions, we can really appreciate these new tools that we have, comparison methods. And I think until now this was this was not possible, let's say. This is another project which is still not finished. This is a project in which I'm involved together with the National Church Historical and Archaeological Museum, and I hope in few months a catalog will be published. And what is this project about? This project is about the largest collections of icons in Bulgaria, and in the museum contains almost 700 icons from the end of the 13th to the end of the 19th century. And I hope in the future, maybe not in the near future, but in the next 10 years maybe, or like Mitko said, it is a life's work. Maybe we'll come to a point that all the inscriptions from icons from churches will be gathered in one place. And I dream of such a moment. And this is the beginning, I think, or maybe I hope so. And now I come to ORASIS project itself. You see here the initial, the starting page of the website. It is still under construction, and we have only about maybe 20 inscriptions from Seslovci monastery. And I already told you that these are inscriptions in church murals. They're written in Greek language. We are beginning with Greek inscriptions, but later on we will maybe continue with Slavic inscriptions also. We begin with inscriptions from the 17th century with all the classifications and commentaries that I already told you about. I'm trying to come to the next slide. Okay, this is one of the first projects of its kind concerning the digital presentation of Balkan post-Byzantine heritage. I think this is important. Here on the right, you can see my book, which is based on my PhD thesis, and it deals with the churches from the 17th century in Bulgaria. And the book is called The Greek Language in the Churches with Mixed Inscriptions from the 17th Century. Here you see a map of Bulgaria. So the ORASIS project is starting with inscriptions from these churches. One part of these churches are painted in orange and the others in white. Why? Because these on the left are churches with mixed inscriptions. We have bilingual inscriptions, Slavic and Greek inscriptions, and I think these are very interesting churches. And we have more influence by Church Slavonic and substandard Greek language. And on the right, you see more influence from Constantinople, which is the expected thing, maybe, because it is closer to Constantinople. And what is our approach to the source material? Our approach is, I already told you about our classifications and our methods of research. Here on the left, you see what others are doing in Bulgaria, and others are art historians. They publish corpora of inscriptions. This is a corpus of the 17th century, but the inscriptions here are not really published well, I think. And these are also older publications from the 80 years. For instance, the frescoes of Alino, written by Elina Boeva. Here on the left, you can see how art historians are editing inscriptions, and this is our way on the right, with much more detail and orthography features. So one of the main, I think, good points and focus points of our project will be intertextuality. We will try to see all the connections between the inscription, the source, the painter manual, and here in this slide you can see different painter manuals. On the right you see the first published edition of the famous manual of Dionysius of Furna. This is a Greek monk from the 18th century, and his manual is very thorough and very, very big one, and contains a lot of information. And on the left side you see the manual of Diciusu Graf, who was one of the main painters in the 19th century. And this is also a very good example of a well-written painter's manual. And finally, I will show you some inscriptions. These are inscriptions from the Karlukovo monastery, inscriptions from the narthex, the northern wall. And if you see the inscriptions one by one, there is it is very difficult to find the meaning of the texts. For instance, Lord my God, I know that. This is not enough, and also you see that the inscription KL7 is halfly preserved. It is damaged. Like the other ones, also they're not in a good condition. And you can see here the condition of the texts. But when we analyze the inscriptions together, we come to the meaning. And the meaning is, Lord my God, I know I'm not worthy for you to enter under the roof of my soul's house. And in a digital edition, I think it will be very, this will be shown in a good way, because in a corpus, in a published edition of a corpus or publication, you cannot view very well these connections, and the photos coming together will show you this intertextuality and connections very well. Actually, this is the beginning of a prayer before Eucharist from Service for the Holy Communion by Saint John Chrysostom. Kyrie o Theosmu, oide oti ukemi axios ude ikanos, hikanos, hina muhiu potens tegin eseotes tu oikotes psyches. So when we deal with post-Byzantine inscriptions, we cannot answer some questions. For instance, were the readers able to identify the text? Was it intended to be read by them at all? Or why was one text distributed between different images, like this example here? What did the painter think about the relationship between text and characters? Was the text quoted by the painter from memory? To what extent does the choice of the text imply literally, liturgical, or theological competence? So we ask ourselves these questions, and honestly, the answers are difficult. So we have a network of relationships, and Mitko, if you're here, you can continue.
Yes, I am. Probably you hear me. So you see here that we have one character. In our case, this is, for example, the prophet Varlam, the Old Testament prophet Varlam, holding a scroll with one text, which does not coincide with the writings of the prophet Varlam, as we know them from the minor prophets. This digital edition could point to different indices, as you saw. If you want, let me share my screen so I can.
Yeah, maybe this is a better idea, because
Yes.
yeah.
I have the same.
I will stop sharing my screen and pass it to you.
Okay, thank you. And yes, now I'll share it. So I hope that you see now. So what we have here is a text which was taken from one place, probably through the intermediary of a hermenia, or probably not. We're not sure, and this is a really significant question of Quellenforschung that we need to do. We have we have a scene in a character. In this case, a prophet standing alone holding a scroll. And we can refer one and the same inscription in our digital corpus to different indices, as we can do in a printed edition, but these indices can be related between each other, and they can be interactively accessed one after the other, and see what else is there in these indices. You have the index locorum, which will identify the place, the index of words. You see how every word is lemmatized. We have the same here in ORASIS. We will have an index of scenes and characters. For example, separate saints, subcategory prophets, subcategory Old Testament prophets, subcategory, I don't know what. We have several level deep hierarchy of these. We have also index of particular editions, which is not the same as index locorum, because we can make fairly good guesses about what were the particular editions, at least of the liturgical books and of the Herminia, which these painters could have possibly used. And it also helps that some of them are already digitized and published in the web space. You see here the good online catalog of the online library of Anemi, where you see exactly this akouloutia thias metalipsos, which is where this text was taken from, and we can interrelate between all these indices. We can find where the particular character stands in this index of scenes and characters in our iconographical index, where our quotation stands in the index locorum, where our image stands in the index of registers, and if the particular locus can be found in some of the editions from the contemporary to the painter period. So we can then try to answer the following questions. Was the same quotation or variations thereof used in other scenes held by other characters, etc., etc.? Were the same scenes, for example, the prophet Varlam, depicted elsewhere with different accompanying texts? How often such scenes or such texts are to be seen in exactly this place, the northern wall of a church narthex, first register? What other passages, if any, of the same text of this akouloutia were used elsewhere in a decoration of a church? And finally, if there is a chance, if they were all likely to be from the same edition which was in circulation in 17th, 18th, 19th century. So this is something I think that a digital edition could provide the tools for the more successful research of such questions than a printed corpus, all the more that, as you saw, the printed corpora which exist are actually a corpora of the church murals themselves, and not of the proper epigraphic edition of the text, together with accompanying commentary, such as the one you saw from the editions of classical epigraphic monuments. Basically in all the previous editions, if they exist at all, of such a text, the text was presented and was conceived of as a part of the image, actually, and not as of something that could be represented and researched in and by itself. For this purpose, we are using a customization of the same EpiDoc XML template that we're using for our projects, and we use actually yet another modification of our own Ajax platform that you're seeing here, which was taken from Telamon, but was customized to solve the different problems of our project and of our source material, which, as you see, there are at least there are very different indices that must be elaborated and to which the separate descriptions must be linked. So what did we do? Collecting data, which Tzvetan has done for his monograph already, together with the taking of the high quality photos of murals, which was also done during the research for his monograph, deciphering the inscriptions, which is a very significant part, And then research of the existing publications of these inscriptions, which is inevitable, even if they are faulty, as we saw. We also have to comment and classify the inscriptions according to the classification that Professor Vasilev showed you earlier, encoding the inscriptions, and then visualization and indexing. Here you see part of, not a part of, actually our whole team. This is Professor Vasilev and yours truly, Elisaveta Musakova, Professor Elisaveta Musakova, who is a renowned art historian, and she was responsible for our very thorough and very carefully elaborated iconographic index with all the scenes and characters and variations thereof. Madeleine Naneva, who was a technical assistant who encoded the inscriptions, and Ivan Amzov, our web developer, who is also responsible for the distributions of Ajax that you've been seeing. And since the beginning of our work, and even before that, as some of you who are present here might recall, probably Professor Djukeska and Professor Nikolić can remember, as well as some other people from the audience, if they're here, that we have been trying to contextualize our work with both trends in digital epigraphy, as well as with digital Byzantine projects, mainly concerned with the digitization and the publication of Byzantine seals. Such as the EpiDoc collection, of which here you have links to the pilot corpus and of the current guidelines that they have. They're a subset of EpiDoc responsible for these particular material, and we have a lot of common with them. We also try to develop common initiatives in which some of you have participated. We had one in-person conference in 2019 in Schumann, when many of you, which are now among the audience, participated. And we also had one EpiDoc training week in which some of you also participated, accompanied by a roundtable which took place online on the 1st of October 2021. And lately, we had a very fruitful and inspiring workshop in Colonia about digital approaches to post-Byzantine epigraphy, when we discussed and encoded post-Byzantine inscriptions on objects such as not only wall paintings, but also icons from the iconographical collection that we have, and on which Professor Vasilev has worked. So now I'm gonna show you just a sneak peek of our website. Okay, I'm gonna show the screen. You see probably this design and layout reminds you of something, because we're using basically the same structure of our template and the same visualizing engine. Here you also have a list of inscriptions together with list of geolocated monuments. In our case, the monuments are the churches, not the separate inscription. One monument, which is a church with a whole iconographic program and maybe 200 inscriptions in it. So here are the churches which are geolocated, and obviously our inscriptions are not movable, which means that we won't have the problem of provenance, origin, when it was last seen, where it is now, etc., because most of our inscriptions are in situ. Here you see a representation. Well, probably not this. I'm going to show you this one. This is the most representative one, with some here you have, of course, you recognize the format of the metadata, but we have some other things here. The monument is the church or the monastery itself, as told you. The place in the church is something that we don't have as a metadata item in ancient inscriptions, but here it is a very essential part, and the location of the inscription in the scene, because here we always have an interplay between image and text and how exactly they relate to each other. Classification of the scenes according to this very thorough iconographical index, which we have to still develop a bit, but you see there's a lot of categories and subcategories, because there are a lot of liturgical or iconographic cycles to which these are affiliated. And we have the inscription type we have not entered already, but here you see a diplomatic edition, an interpretive edition, and a diplomatic edition, as you can see, for which we use a series of customized fonts, of which Athena Ruby, the one used by created by Dumbarton Oaks and used by EpiDoc, is only one of them. And here you also see the translation and the commentary as in the original Ajax engine. What is maybe interesting for you here is that we have to have additional gimmicks here and there in order to display properly all the different fonts that we have. We're using special tags for them that render these fonts displayable throughout our collection. Maybe I can show you another example when there's more of this. Probably Prophet Jeremiah. See, we have distinct fonts for displaying the Greek texts from the literary liturgical sources. We have yet another which displays the original here in the diplomatic edition. Oops, we don't have this for now, but see that here in the commentary, as in the diplomatic edition, we use a series of very specific fonts, and we are able, because of the customization of our front-end tool, to have several from them at once. For some of the inscriptions, actually, even the Byzantine Greek fonts that we have at our disposal are not enough, because we have a lot of diacritical signs and sigma which are characteristic rather of the Cyrillic inscriptions of the period rather than of the Byzantine and the post-Byzantine ones. So we're also using Cyrillic fonts, which, as you know, in their majuscule form are not different from the Byzantine ones, or hardly different. This is what I had to say. So maybe now, if we had some time left, maybe questions, comments, etc.
Just the biggest congratulations for these successful projects.
Thank you, thank you. And
Thank
yes,
you very much.
something that Tzvetan already pointed out, but I would like to stress once more that in the projects which like underlie our effort, which he presented very thoroughly, like Zography.info, there's also the instance of regional cooperation, which I hope that we will achieve in our Prometheus project. People from the region joining forces, because basically the source material is the same throughout all our countries. So yes, this is also a good example that we can follow. Yeah, and check out the site to see interesting scholarly articles from researchers all over the region here, from Bulgaria, Serbia, Macedonia, Albania, Greece.
Yeah, we have to be like those painters that they travel, and we also are traveling in the digital world together. And hopefully this is the future. We have to join forces to achieve some common goals.
Yeah.
If I may say something,
Yes.
add something in this context. First of all, also thank Professor Illiev and Professor Vasilev on your presentation. As Professor Vasilev said already, that in this project, you're not, you are dealing with sacred epigraphy, and
Yes.
you're not interested in the secular epigraphy, right?
Yes, yes,
But
in this project.
You also know by yourself how important is secular epigraphy.
Of
And
course.
I would like to ask if there's someone in the Balkans who is dealing with this problematic. If I may, if you allow me, I will share the screen and show something. Do you see this?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It's a graffiti.
Maybe some of you know this is from Lesnovsky Monastery.
Yes.
In the east part of North Macedonia, in Probishtip region. Monastery Gabriel Lesnovsky, and you certainly recognize here the text in Greek, Benedictos and Hero, and also at the end Monasteria, and you can read it easily. And down there is a Das is Nae.
Das ist
Recognize, and I will show you. This is from the monastery, yes, and this is you see 1789 year, yeah, and also das I'm not sure, but I guess
of course, absolutely.
Oga Biecha, probably Štipski, also Biecha Dushi, etc., etc.
Yes.
This material is linguistically and
very valuable,
culturally
yes.
very rich and important material. And I think that these inscriptions are the most endangered because, you know, when I talked with the priests in this church, they consider this as blasphemy, and it is the question of time when this will be erased, you know, as blasphemous text, something that not belonged here. And it is very important to conserve this text, to read this text, to digitize maybe, and because they're giving, they're answering many questions, you know, about the local citizens there, and so I don't know anybody who's dealing with this kind of text, and if you know, you can tell me, or maybe talk in the future about some joint project in this area.
Why not? Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know of a person that is researching this topic, and of course, as you said, this is very valuable, and for now, I don't think there is a project or a team that works upon these inscriptions. But in the future, why not?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
If I may add something in connection with the last question, there are actually some colleagues who are working on such graffiti here in Bulgaria. One of them is in our university, so probably the idea of such a project will be very useful. And to combine, because these graffiti are very similar, like the inscriptions on the murals in our countries.
You mean Nikolay inscriptions in churches?
Yes,
yes, graffiti in churches. I didn't know about this. We'll talk later.
Yeah.
Congratulations. This is so I was really patiently following the presentation, and this is a very rich project and a very novel project. I wanted to ask you, did you have while encoding, did you have to borrow something outside of EpiDoc, use something from TI that wasn't already in EpiDoc to cover everything, or what
Actually, for now, not. The only thing that was peculiar were the fonts, but we found a way to do them in EpiDoc. At first, as you saw probably on the screen, it was G class something,
yeah.
but then we decided now we're actually restructuring our files so that now that they will have our new template, which will be exactly corresponding to the Tituli template, which is the most up-to-date one of all. And we will have this done with high-rend equal the type of the font, and we have fonts embedded in the we have fonts installed in the front-end tool. So this is probably the most peculiar thing, and it's nothing which is not EpiDoc compliant. Maybe CGDoc have more than this because probably because of the types of objects, not as much as the script or the language or the period.
Yeah, that's why while listening, I thought maybe I thought to ask you, did you think about releasing your own guidelines in how to do, because a lot of this stuff is very new. I guess you had to create many new authority lists and maybe think about how will you do this or that, and this is really something that I think that can be used by many people if they just knew what to do.
It's on our to-do list, but as you can see, it's the same 5 guys involved in several different projects. So our to-do list may take a long time to implement, but we're certainly very keen on doing our own documentations and sharing our experience with as many people who have relevant material as possible. So yes.
Great. Does anyone else have questions or something to add? If not, oh, Philip, do you have something to say?
I have a question, but aside from the presentation of the project, something with the encoding, but it may be later.
If it's with encoding and visualization.
Yes. With the homework inscription that
we have we have one more presentation to go, and I promise that I'll be very quick, and then we can talk about visualization and leave to general impressions. So perhaps if you all agree, I can share my screen and begin presentation.
Please do.
So today, just excuse me for a sec, I'm a bit clumsy with this. Yes. So do you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I will quickly present you our digital epigraphy project that has been going on under different names since 2016. So this is a project of the Institute for Balkan Studies, in which I am employed. And it is nested under one of the Institute's research axes that's called Balkans in Prehistory and Antiquity, which is basically in interdisciplinary research currently for people who are in this team. It has in the past it has received several annual grants mostly from Serbian Ministry of Culture and Information. And it was, as you may imagine, it is a sporadic type of financing, which is not perfectly convenient for a project that is imagined as a long-term project, but it has received a continuous support of the Institute for Balkan Studies. To say something about the ambition of the project, the ambitions are great, and they are to prepare a new up-to-date corpus of Roman inscriptions that were found in Serbia, in the territory of modern Serbia, and to create a born digital edition that can be encoded in EpiDoc and ideally available in English and Serbian. Because it is important to get this stuff to the people for up till now, the main and most important edition of the greater part of inscriptions that belong to Upper Asia were edited actually in French. So a lot of people in Serbia outside of the scientific community are not really acquainted with this material, even though those publications are at the highest level and they are very in terms of academic aspects, these editions are very, very good, of very high quality, but we want to make them more accessible to the audience, and of course to update the corpus, because most of the volumes were edited in the 70s and 80s and 2 volumes in the 90s, but there are still a lot of inscriptions that are not included in this publication. And also there are other provinces, not only Upper Asia, that were covered by the modern territory of Serbia, and those belong to Lower Pannonia, Dalmatia, and tiny, as I labeled here, larger, smaller, or tiny parts of Roman provinces, because in Dacia we have like a very narrow stretch along the border, not perhaps maybe one inscription and some stamps, and not actually a lot of material, but still it exists. So as you can see, this material is really it's mostly in Latin. So there are Greek inscriptions, but the material is mostly Latin. So we're mostly dealing with this type of epigraphy. And what we began from was the basic groundwork that we had to do from scratch, because we just didn't use some of the documentation that was existing in some other institutions, but doing things from the basic level. And this meant gathering bibliography and stuff. Some of that I showed you this morning about our bibliographic database. I won't take your time now about that, but it was basically scanning documentation and preparing everything beforehand. So this was at the moment when we didn't know what we'll do with our material, whether we would do EpiDoc at all, or just gather something we just needed to create a knowledge base, which was internal and shared in a very informal environments, such as simple Google Drive and Google spreadsheets, documents, actually all the resources that were free, that we could freely use. And of course, we only had scanners and cameras, so that we can, after gathering documentation, go and do some field work, which is a very important step. I know that you are all acquainted with what fieldwork means, and especially in epigraphy. So I chose here to show you just some interesting pictures from the fieldwork, especially the moments when we were able to locate and rescue some of the inscriptions that were in a really endangered situation, such as this one that we had to dig dig from the sand. Actually, these are some of the inscriptions that were seen last at the beginning of 20th century, and the only existing photographs are published in volumes of Spomenik of the Serbian Academy, then Serbian Royal Academy. Which is very, very old. So we were able to make some new photographs and check readings of those inscriptions that are really important for us. For example, this is another rescue mission. As you can see, this is this monument was just laying around, and it was half dug in. So we had to dig it out and take it and clean it, and then we were able to check if this is really the inscription that we were looking for. As you can, I don't know, it's a badly placed slide, but nevertheless, we were able to find and digitally record some of the inscriptions that were considered probably lost because they weren't in any collection, but lying in the field. And these are some more the photographs from the field work and from our collaborators. This work involved going in cemeteries where inscriptions were secondarily just either used or left there for some reason, or in the somewhere on different sites. And the other case of fieldwork was done in museums with which we had an agreement and signed sort of a memorandum of understanding for using the recorded material. And we had, for example, great collaboration with the museum at Užice, museum Prijepolje, for example, who helped us and gave us support in the field work with all sorts of information about location, about monuments, everything. That they were really really cooperative in this sense. And these photographs that I'm showing actually are from Western Serbia, because this is the region that we chose to begin with, because it is not covered by our any national corpus. So the corpus had to be new, and the collaboration with Professor Svetlana Loma, who is actually a very important part of this project, and someone who is a renowned epigrapher in Serbia, was the author of the editions. And this is one step further, because this was really a born digital edition made from scratch. So these are some of the elements of our project, are these that I mentioned: documentation, bibliography, photo documentation. And then in the end, we decide, when we gathered the corpus, did a lot of field work and made a huge documentation about already published inscriptions in IMS that cover Misia. We decided that we can take this smaller corpus that covers territories of two Roman towns, Municipium Malvasiatium and Municipium Spulnistarum, and make a test run with encoding and how it would look as a digital corpus. So this is a map of the area shared by those two municipalities. And this is what we chose to encode. This is just a slide of something, one of the tables that we have separately kept in documentation, and we have a lot of different types of this material kept apart from the EpiDoc and encoding, because encoding was built upon all the other elements, and the material that we currently have in EpiDoc doesn't necessarily reflect everything that we have, because this is just one stage in the course of this project, which is a marathon rather than a sprint, as we all agree here. So this is the project's website, Digital Epigraphy Serbia, and it was previously used for basic information, and because it was a typical normal website that was hosted on a simple web platform, and we didn't have a server to display our encoded material, we just kept it packed as a zip folder. But thanks to the grant that we received last year, we were able, this year we were able to get a new server that we can run the inscriptions on. So we decided to put our FS visualized encoded material on, and it can be accessed through website currently, but I have to, in advance, I have to say that this is this is not the final version, but it's rather a work in progress. And we're currently, thanks to the fact that our team was joined by Anđelka Kazečević, who is willing to help us tweak FS in a way to visualize things that we would like to. And all this customization was done by me, and it's not very professional. As you can see, I wasn't able to make the corrections in XSLTs as I would wish I knew how to. But so this is, we just have one version of the material for now, and hopefully in the near future we will have a new better encoded material, because we have to tweak some things around now that we know how can we visualize them, which we didn't when we started encoding actually. And this is a screenshot that you recognize from Polly's presentation on FS, how it looks like. These are the inscriptions inside an FS database. And I can show you, for example, one example that is perhaps interesting and has good level of details inserted already. So this is how it looks. You probably recognize all this. And this is the image that is inserted inside FS. So that's it for me. I would like to leave some time for discussion and for some conclusive remarks. So I will stop sharing my screen now. You'll just have to bear with me. Yes. Thanks.
Thank you very much for your presentation. It was really, fascinating how to deal with this material and all the things that need to be done, not only the encoding, but also the preliminary work that has been done and still to be done. Somebody else want to comment and pose some questions?
I hope in the future we will follow your steps because we are at the very beginning now in Macedonia.
Yeah, well, I would rather like to say that it's first of all, it's great that we get to have this project and get to work together and share experiences. And I hope there will be a lot to learn from mistakes because along the way there were many, and the biggest challenge is to keep up with what's going on in tech world. Because we have to follow technology, and several times I thought maybe, okay, this will be it. Something happens that makes me have to jump ahead and change some things in the project because the way I was doing it is not really the best way to do it. So it is a pitfall in planning, but I believe that organization is incredibly important, and communication is incredibly important for everyone. So
Again, thank you for your presentation. It was wonderful.
thanks.
Sorry. Can I ask a question, please? Hi.
Of course. Hi, Vlado.
Hi, Dragana. It was wonderful to hear your presentation, and I'm so amazed by the possibilities of this digitalization of epigraphical monuments in Serbia, especially as an archaeologist and epigraphist who was learning about this material almost the whole of my career. I just wanted to stress the importance to translate the descriptions as well as to update the photos and all the necessary material from the previous publication. And I share your opinion that French language is not anymore so current, and nobody, especially in those parts of Europe where we are living, cannot follow the commentaries in French, and maybe it must be translated into English as soon as possible. I am speaking about les inscriptions de la Médie supérieure. And on the other hand, what is the main importance of this digitalization project is actually the part of Eastern Dalmatia and Pannonia, which was not included into the Serbian publication material, especially in EMS, because these are the other provinces. And now we have the possibility to include the whole material from Serbia into one digital platform. On the other hand, we have the part of Danube, which was Arangates, which wasn't intended to be published in EMS. And this is the way how we can show all this material with the comments and updated photos to the scientific public and to everybody who is interested in this material. Also, I would stress the part of Dragana, the southern part of Serbia, Kosovo and Metohija, which was treated in the early 50s and 60s in the intention to publish this volume of EMS number 5. Unfortunately, this process was not finished, but maybe we can do something with the documentation that we have in our private or institutional possession. So I'm so sorry if I was long with my elaboration.
No, I just wanted to introduce you properly, because for those who may not know, this is Vladimir Petrović, and he's our colleague from the Institute for Balkan Study and an important part of this project. and someone who is involved in these things from very beginnings, and someone who has as owner of personal collection of photographs that belong to his family, and the copyright that belongs to his family has given to this project. And also we have, because we work in the same team, there are also other streams in which this project may flow into, and some of the plans that I didn't mention now because I didn't have time, but I hope that in some other talk it will come up. Thank you. And thank you so much for picking up this thing about IMS not being completely published, because it's also an important important work that can be done and picked up digitally.
Yes, and I regret that you didn't show this wonderful photo from Tours and this milestone, which was covered by something we couldn't see the text during the autopsy of the inscription. And we have many inscriptions which are not published till nowadays because of many reasons. But this wonderful team from the Institute for Balkan Studies that is led by Dragana, Nikolić, and the other colleagues like me, it has a good intention to do something more than it was previously done with the tools, modern tools, which are now in our possessions. So thank you again for introducing me to the team.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. So, do you want me to check if there are any questions in our questionnaire that I sent yesterday? If you are patient enough, I can retrieve it in a second. In the meantime, we thought maybe we could dedicate these last minutes of our workshop to discussion. But previously, if someone has a question or wants to share something on the topic of visualization, this would be the perfect moment to do that.
Philip had something to say, I believe.
Yeah.
And I have something to say to Philip, to see
yeah.
one and the other correspond. Yeah.
I have one question, but I thought
Yeah,
maybe
please.
I will try to find the solution later.
No. Please.
Waste the time now.
Please do.
I just forgot how to encode the image in the oxygen. I know it was in the facsimile part, but I couldn't.
Let me show you the
Yeah.
here we are in the inline editor of your own actually inscription. And here's the meta information. Do you see it clearly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, this is actually, you have referred to an image properly, but
No.
you have to, not that you have referred to it properly, but you haven't referred to the specific file. You have to refer to the file itself. I mean, if your image is online, open it in such a way so as the link has a, say, GPG at the end or something. Because this is a reference to email address, to a web address, but it's not a reference to a picture. And if you can, I don't know if this gives the.
I wouldn't say that this would give an image. So if you have the image, the most easiest way is to put it in the folder of the images. Mitko, you can show
In Ajax?
Yes.
in Ajax, yep, here.
And then
XML files, yeah. Images.
Yeah, and here.
And you just upload it here with the icon with the plus up.
I don't use that, just drag and drop them, but yeah, the icon.
Yeah, drag and dropping them would be the way to do
There
it.
is also an icon to upload them. New file. No, not this, but yeah.
No?
Yeah, you drag and drop basically. I don't know where the menu for upload is.
The disk. The disk.
Дискетката с плюсчето.
Кое?
С плюсчето. Дискетка.
Не виждам плюсче аз.
No, you're not sharing.
Okay, the floppy disk. Okay, I'm I don't see the plus. Yes, you can select files here, or probably if you want to, this new folder will, okay. Let me just.
There's an X on top.
Or if you want to, probably if you want to, if you want to share an image from, let's see if we can achieve receiving a URL from, yes, Wikisource or Wikimedia Commons. Oh, I like this one. So this would be a link to an image. I think it should work, not sure. If not, just download the image and put it, and then in the description to the facsimile, you say that the source of it is Wikimedia Commons or somewhere in the commentary. But in any case, if you must have a link to, be sure to link to the file itself. You see, I don't know if you see here in the address bar.
Yes, I see.
Yes, because this links to the file. If you don't link to the file, there's no way to visualize it. And something else, your visualization, I was going to say, yes, I thought that you would ask about this. You didn't, but if you go to the front of your Telamon, you will see that your visualization breaks. And we found that one of the reasons that it might break is because of this ID number here is very, very capricious.
Because of the space.
Please don't
In
use
first
spaces.
place.
Don't use spaces. And just in case this might not impede, but don't use apostrophes.
This rule of keeping the names of the files and the folders simple applies not just for XMLs. It's just like a universal rule when you have documents on your computer. When you have spaces, there are a lot of things that can go wrong with the document with a space within the title. So don't use spaces.
Yeah.
It becomes a habit after a while when you keep that in mind.
Okay, thank you. I will try it later.
Yes.
If I have some problem, I'll text you.
Okay. Well, it's still some in the visualization here. There's still some problems. I'm not sure we resolved them when we once we corrected your name, but maybe we have to index or something. This is the one thing I wanted to say. The other thing, when we troubleshoot with Ivan Amzov, our webmaster, and Chris this morning, we found out something else. Yes, the inscription IL8, which I think was done by whom was it done? Was it by Elena or it was by me?
No, by me, Milica.
Okay, but it's
Go to GR3.
okay. GR. this was it with the link, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we have a lot of new things.
Search it in the
Yeah,
search bar.
I'm just enjoying all the inscriptions that were uploaded by our participants, which obviously okay, but
Maybe
is it case
reload.
sensitive?
I think so. Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, it was here a few seconds ago. Try to find it.
Okay, where is it from? Do you remember? Okay, if you wish.
It was from Pleven, National
Pleven,
Museum.
okay.
Yes, but it was noted with Plovdiv afterwards.
Oh, okay, yeah, because we didn't have the now when we try to this is it. Yeah. Now it's okay. When we try to okay, great. When we try to when we saw it first, all of this okay, come on, where is it? Yeah.
We fixed it, but we
fixed
didn't
it, but
undo
here
it.
everything was part of the link. This is because, well, now I cannot show you probably, but
You should enter the admin panel.
yeah.
I remember what the issue was. I can explain it. You just
I also remember, but I'm not sure if we were able to demonstrate it.
Oh, we can recreate it.
Yes, okay. We will now break the inscription and then we will.
For educational purposes, of course.
Yes.
And probably we should leave time for some final words.
Yes. We should, but
go to the find spot.
What was that? Provenance.
Yes.
No, it is not in the find spot. It is in the repository. Yeah, here.
Yes.
What you did was the following. Probably it was still correct. I mean, it was valid in as much as it was green in oxygen. But when you do this, see what happens. This is how we saw it. Everything after this was all one huge link, which leads to the okay.
Because we don't have Pleven.
Yeah, we don't have Pleven, but which led to the link of the museum that you have linked. Actually, I believe that this was in Elena's example, which was the archaeological reserve of Stobi, rather than this, but it holds true also for this.
It's the same issue. It's a type issue.
Yeah, the same type of issue. It's you see the opening and the closing tag of the reference. Yeah, it still gives you the link if it exists. Obviously, here it doesn't exist, but it links incorrectly in the output.
Yes, because it's left empty, meaning it indexes everything as a reference that is below that point.
Yeah. So make sure to include the name of the institution or everything else you want to link to between the opening and the closing tag. Now it's okay. Now this is the link and everything else is inactive. Yeah, this is what I was going to say. These were my 2 cents.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Should we say something for closing?
Yes.
Does anyone want to share something? Impressions?
Yes, sure. We would, I suppose we would all like, but first of all, of course, I would like to express my very, very deep gratitude, firstly, to Dragana for being so patient and diligent host for 5 days, but not only for that, but for preparing especially the technical part, and you really took care that everything runs so smoothly that we didn't notice at all that it is not artificial intelligence. So I would really like to thank you for that, and of course all our lecturers and presenters and instructors for your patience and for your effort that you put into this workshop. I think we all learned a lot, and the program was really tailored to fit our needs. And I'm really happy that we did this. Of course, it's easy when you're a listener to at least a great part of the workshop, because then you have time to get inspired. Many thoughts occurred to my mind about mainly about the application of this EpiDoc schema in our project. But I don't know if we have time to discuss that into details, but perhaps on another occasion. Yeah, there's a lot of thinking about it.
I would also like to thank all participants. I'm very grateful that I'm part of this project. I would like to thank the presenters, the Dragana, first of all, and see you around.
See you. Thank you.
I want to say just a few words. I'm very pleased and honored that I was participating in this workshop. I learned too many things that I have no idea about. I wasn't aware that even those things exist. Well, also I learned about the tools which are extremely useful, and of course I want to say many thanks to our trainers, lecturers, to our host. You were phenomenal. You were full with enthusiasm, readiness, and commitment. And I hope we'll see next time with physical presence. And that's all from me. Just the biggest thanks.
Well, I would also like to thank all of you and all of the participants in the workshop, and special thanks to our amazing trainers, Elina, Mitko, Kristiyan, all the guest lecturers. You were amazing. You had enormous energy. My gratitude is huge, really. And if you allow me, I would like to share an image that I created through Word Cloud, collecting all the buzzwords that were present during our workshop. So
interesting to see.
So here it is.
Can we share it on social media?
Yes, of course, but
with some information about wrap up. We had great 5 days, etc., etc.
Yes, and we if I left something out, send those words to me before sharing on media, if I left something out, so that I can add. But I thought it would be very nice to see visualized our keywords, and I thought it may be a good way to conclude everything.
Great.
Okay, so we are as usually on time, and we are able to finish this in the set time frame. So I hope that we will have more of these events, and please, for all those who are not within the Prometheus project, stay tuned for our next events. The very next one will happen somewhere in June, as we announced, dedicated to storytelling, and we will in the following period we will have more details and let you know. And hopefully we'll see each other again in the same format. So that would be all. Digital tools for the epigraphist are officially successfully completed. So,
well, it was a pleasure, and also thanks on behalf of the training team to you for putting all the framework into which we could interact and make our sessions as fruitful and as pleasant as possible. So thank you for the effort. Thanks everybody for the participation. Thanks for the people who dared to encode their inscriptions, and to all of you who listened with interest the presentations during these 5 days on all the topics.
and to the YouTube viewers.
Also, yeah. Yeah. And
right.
have a nice evening and have a nice rest.
Yes. See you.
Thank you. See you. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.